What's up, guys? DLE Amel here, and I know we're one day before Arc 5 World releases, but I had to get off some things off the top of my head before the new world comes out. I'm thinking some pretty crazy things, so now I'm gonna put these things in your head so that you are thinking about the same things. If you are new here, welcome to DLE, and if you're new to New World celebrations in Duel Links, maybe I will give you some things to put into perspective, right? It is very easy to get swept up in the New World hype. You log into the game, there's a bunch of new stuff, you are really excited to get into everything, and you are not so much thinking about later on, right? You spend all your gems on the new box, you go crazy trying to unlock all the characters. So I'm here to maybe bring up a couple things for you to think about and maybe explain the New World experience as I go. So on the New World release, we'll be getting a main box, a structure deck, probably a side event, the new characters, some new card trader cards, and some other stuff added to the card pool that let us pendulum summon and give us access to the new archetypes. So besides that, a New World really just resets the schedule in which we do things. We get boxes every month, then we get KC Cups every 3 months. So everything else pretty much stays the same. So there are 5 things that I wanted to mention, and I'll elaborate on each of them that I think you should think about when going into the New World. And the first thing is, boom, how often will the pendulum card pool grow? Now this is really important, right? Something about Xyz's era that was really frustrating was that the first 4 months of the Yugioh summoning year was spent on them not releasing Yugioh's decks and Yugioh's archetypes. Instead, they were kind of drip feeding us monsters that you could summon, and they were not really generic monsters either that you could summon out with a couple decks here and there. We got maybe like 3 of those boxes before we got our next competent main box with some more decks in it. And then the month after that, the Synchro Resurgence began, and we got like Synchro decks for 3 months. So our Yugioh's card pool was really hampered at multiple points, so we really didn't get to see as many of the unique and powerful cards that we should have. With Pendulum Year, I'm even more worried about this, because something that is really big about Arc 5 World is the added support that it gives to Fusion, Synchro, and Yugioh's archetypes, and not so much like focus on the pendulum monsters themselves. I do feel like on release, Arc 5 World does have 4 archetypes that they can support. 3 of them already really having a large presence in the game, that being Yosenju, Super Heavy Samurai, and Melodious. They have a large presence because they have a lot of cards in there. And Performer Pals, they don't really have much in the game. Past that, I mean, they don't have much else. Most of the other support you're going to be looking for the card pool to grow are going to be from archetypes that we maybe haven't gotten yet, or archetypes that are, desperately waiting for pendulum support. So you have to think, when they release pendulum cards, what are they going to release? Are they going to release generic pendulum cards that any deck is going to be able to use, or are they going to be wanting to focus on the character decks and things that they know they can already deliver pendulum monsters for? So that is what I am worried about. The first thing, that the pendulum card pool will grow unevenly throughout the year, and that we'll be lacking a lot. We'll only have like very basic ones for a few months. All right, next, skill reliant decks promote weak support releases. Now what do I mean by this? I mean that Konami can afford to not give you the most requested cards, even if they are not extremely powerful, if they instead give you an effective skill or a consistency skill to back up your deck instead. We saw this happen a few times this year, most recently with Evil Heroes. Now, I know no one thinks Evil Heroes is going to be top tier, but they were given a pretty good consistency skill in place of some of their more powerful fusion monsters and better effect monsters to improve the consistency of their deck. We got a locked effect monster to 1 via the skill Sinister Evil, and I really do not want that to happen for this era. There's a lot of archetypes that need support, and only so many of them are tied to characters. So I would really not like for them to really go all in on the event decks. An event deck is basically when you unlock the character in the event. They come with the deck. Maybe they release a structure deck or a main box beside it, and then you invest in the box and you unlock the character and you play the deck. That's how you do that. The problem with that is they usually give them a big bad skill to offset their really weak cards. This is not going to fly anymore, especially now in the game. If the ban list is not, totally all encompassing, new decks, when they come out, if they don't have the card pool to make them efficient, they're simply going to fall victim to any of the decks that we call tier 2 or 3 right now. New decks that come out, they have to have competent support. We cannot allow for decks to be relying on skills anymore. They're flimsy. If the cards are not good enough for the skill to boost your play, then they're just going to be getting run over by rogue decks. So skill reliant decks, I know not many people are a fan of them. I am not either, and I do not think that they're healthy for the game in the long run, especially when we're about to get such a big boom in the card pool. Them defaulting to skill reliant decks shows us that they don't have much planned in the wakes of powerful cards. So yeah. Number 3 here. Most anime decks won't make it, and those who do will be expensive. Arc 5 is the most ambitious Yu-Gi-Oh anime and has the most characters with the most different archetypes. Some of them use pendulums, some of them don't. How are they going to narrow it down? I think one key way that they're going to use to narrow it down is to make sure that they release those Arc 5 archetypes that are already spread out amongst many boxes that are already released in the game. That way they can guarantee that you engage in a multi-box endeavor when you want to get a new deck. And not gonna lie, that sucks. A lot of those pendulum archetypes are not in such great boxes from back in the day. They were filler boxes themselves and really only have the archetype cards that they belong to show value in those boxes. And what does that mean for newer decks? Newer anime pendulum decks that come out that we don't already have access to? That means you are going to be drip fed cards. I'm afraid that no matter how you try to attack obtaining a new pendulum deck, if you don't already have the existing cards, you are gonna get squeezed for your money, man. Konami's either gonna force you to go into those old boxes, or they're going to drip feed the new powerful archetypes. Things such as Raid Raptors or Phantom Knights, archetypes that people are very excited for. Expect them to get drip fed to you. Photons and Galaxy was a big thing in Arc 5 in Zexal World that people were excited for. Look what happened. It got split up across 3 boxes. Never saw competitive play. Not enough powerful cards. I really don't want that to happen to Arc 5 World. I feel like, that's in my next point. So let's get into it. Don't want this to happen in Arc 5 World, even though the decks are looking like they're all going to be really expensive off the jump, unless they release a really free-to-play one on day 1. Next, extra emphasis on event anime decks could mean a stale meta. Now, you guys know exactly what this means. We have been in automat meta for the past 6 months. It is insane. We've been in automat meta for the past 5 or 6 months. That is not an exaggeration. When I mean extra emphasis on event anime decks, that means that when Konami sees that an event or an anime deck, right, of one of the main characters from the world is very popular, I feel that they get very lazy. I feel like as long as one deck or one flagship deck from the archetype they're trying to promote and make powerful is in a good position, that is good enough for them to not touch it for several months, as long as they can continue to see profit off of it and say that their newest mechanic is causing one of the most powerful decks to be the most powerful deck. I would really not like that to be the case with Arc 5 World, especially because there's already so many decks that exist within that meta that we have access to, that we can get support. There's no need for us to be stuck on one deck for several months just because it works the best with pendulums and the other summoning methods. We're going to have a lot of events. We're going to have an event 1 month right after Zexal World launches. Let's keep getting event anime decks. Let's keep releasing them with boxes. Keep putting on the powerful support and balance them accordingly. We do not need one Xyz deck to remain the king for 3 to 4 months. It happened with Blue Eyes and Noble Knights. They were on top. They nerfed Blue Eyes and Noble Knights. Automats took over for the rest of that. We do not need one deck from the leading archetype to rule every other deck. Please. Having emphasis on event and anime decks is good because those are ones that are most accessible to players, but making them just the best deck for 6 months is not good for the game overall. That's how I feel. My last point is box release schedule is now uncertain. You guys saw the shit that Konami pulled after they released the selection box. We did not get a new box for 60 days. Best believe me, guys, I may be, you know, a really cynical, skeptical person, but I wholeheartedly believe that they will do this again to meet any quarterly monetary needs that they have to do to starve us for cards until, you know, new ones come out so we feel incentivized to buy them. Whatever Konami wants to do, it is now proven that they can and they will do it, even if it means messing up the regular box schedule. And that is probably what I'm most afraid for. You know, I can only hope that it was a fluke of them trying to prepare for the KC Cup, New World, Selection Box, all that stuff, the KC, GT celebration. I can only hope that that was a one-time thing, but something is telling me that, you know, when they do something like that, when they make a change like that, and they do not announce it anywhere, I think that that is going to become a recurring thing that they choose to take advantage of from time to time. And I honestly think that, you know, that is one of the most disgusting things that Konami's ever done. It's something that you should be worried about. If they just all of a sudden decide to not release new cards for an entire month, you know, that is a really big thing that I think people should be getting upset about, frankly. All right. So, guys, these were my top 5 for things that I'm worried about in Arc 5 World. I hope I was able to break it down in a concise manner for you. Hope you guys understood where I stand on some of these. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on any of the things I brought up, and let me know what are some of the things that you are worried about in Arc 5 World coming tomorrow. And don't forget, we're going to be live on Twitch from the moment Arc 5 World drops at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Duel Entertainment. And we're going to have videos going up on YouTube all day long for the opening day. You do not want to miss it, so make sure you keep it right here at Duel Entertainment. Peace out, guys.